Yes, we are live. Good evening.
I think we locked up here.
Us, we have Coach Karen. I'll leave her to introduce herself. I was telling her backstage that she is super intentional. I follow her, I see what she does, and I tell myself I want to grow. I want to learn this level of intentionality. And then I have my writing materials with me. I got a notebook for the purpose of this conference, and I have my pen for the purpose of this conference, and of course, I have my cup of water for the purpose of this conference. So if you are with us and you don't have your writing materials, please go and get them right away. Let's get started. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask your questions. Coach Karen is here to give us answer all our questions, and of course, help us in the areas we are struggling.
Huh? Okay. Well, I hope we're still live here. I want to make sure that I'm still in the room here. And all right, I feel like I lost you. Are we still here? Well, anyway, I'm going to go on. My name is Karen Wagnon, and I am actually the founder of Teaching Our Youth and the Parenting Blueprint. I am also the mom and stepmom to 7 kids, and we now have 12 grandchildren. And let me tell you, parenting has been quite the journey. And I have not always been the parent that I am today. I mean, I really struggled as a mom, as a young mom, because I just didn't understand my kids. And when we look at cultural parenting, when we look at parenting, what I talk about from generations. Okay, are we coming back now? Let's see. Uh-oh. Are you back? Okay, so I didn't know whether to start or whether we got lost there. Are we still good and we live?
Please start, please. Please start. Yes, we are live. We are live, please.
All right, so I started an introduction for myself because I saw you went away, and then I was still there. So anyway, so a little bit of background on myself. I'm a mom and stepmom to 7 children. Okay, so we are a blended family. We have 7 grandchildren, and I'll be honest with you, I was not the mom that I am today when I first became a mom, and I didn't become a mom until I was 27 years old, and I knew I always wanted to be a mom. I loved children, and then I had my children and wondered, what the heck did I just do? How could I be so successful in my career and feel as though I was failing so much as a parent? And what I learned is that I did not understand my children. Now hold on one second there. As a young mom, you know, I got the nursing schedule down. I got sleeping schedule down. I was helping my kids with their developmental milestones when they were younger. But then their little personalities came out. And then they start having attitude and thinking differently than me. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. I gave birth to you. Why don't you think and act like me? We all live in the same house. I have the same values. We have the same boundaries. And they were all acting very differently. And to be honest with you, all we bring to parenting is how God wired us, our personality, what drives us, and how we were parented in the past will equal how we parent today. And some of the things that we were speaking about earlier are the generational or even societal, cultural expectations as parents. And so I'm going to be sharing with you today something that completely transformed the way I viewed my children and the way I parented my children. But I just want to start with something to kind of lay the foundation of how effective parenting really works. There are what we call the authoritarian parents. I probably fell into an authoritarian parent because I have a very strong personality. But authoritarian parents have high expectations. They're very strict. They have very limited flexibility with their kids. They have low responses to their children. They're not very warm and fuzzy. It's kind of like my way or the highway type parenting. That came from my personality because that's how God wired me, to be driven and in control. But then my first child was a lot like me. Surprise, surprise. And he wanted to be in charge and he wanted to be in control. And I'm like, no. I'm the mom here. And so
Yeah.
the way I was raised, I began to pick up a lot of my mom's habits that I said I wouldn't do. I became a yeller.
It's normal.
I became
Yes.
a spotter because that was the generational curse. So I want to start with a biblical principle that had to guide me as to how I could truly be an effective parent. And you may have heard that phrase, spare the rod, spoil the child. And
Absolutely.
many people assume.
Okay, Karen, I was going to say thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say thank you so much. I think it's a good place because in this part of the world, we believe that Western parenting, flogging, yelling, Western parenting, we just believe it. I was at my children's PTA yesterday and they still mentioned it. You know, they just believe that the child needs to be flogged. The child needs to be yelled at. When the child is not flogged, when the child is not yelled at, the child does not behave. And we have this mindset that, oh, the Western world, they spoil their children. So I was on YouTube live on Wednesday, and a white man asked a question. She said, no, he didn't. He made a statement. He said, I love the way Africans raise their children. My children are spoiled brats. And by that, I knew he meant the way we yell, the way we flog. So I'm glad you are starting from talking about the biblical mindset that spare the rod and spoil the child. Thank you. So we are now going to learn today why the man's children may probably be spoiled brats and why Coach Karen's children are very many other children, though raised in the Western world, they are not spoiled brats. I hope you have your writing materials once again because I'm ready to learn. I have 3 children of my own and I am not done learning. Thank you, Karen.
Well, I'm so glad that you see it that way. But the thing I wanted to just lay the foundation of was the rod in that particular instance was the rod of the shepherd who shepherded the sheep. And when the sheep went astray, the shepherd would tap them back with the rod. They didn't beat them with the rod. They tapped them back with the rod, which is the guidance and setting boundaries of keeping our kids within the values and morals that we want to raise them to be. So I am not a believer of spanking or flogging or any of those things because what ends up happening, especially at a very young age, is children become fearful of us. And I didn't want my children to be afraid of me, that if they did something wrong, that they would be physically hurt by me. I'd rather parent them according to their design, which is what I'm going to be sharing with you today, to understand why are they acting that way. Because this is the deal. Each of us, including our kids, are wired from birth with our personality. It's part of our DNA. We are knit together in the womb. We already have these personality traits. But each of the personalities have internal emotional needs that drive the external behavior. Now, when the internal emotional needs are not being met, we will experience disruptive behaviors because the child is still trying to be heard and they're not being heard or understood. So we have disruptive behaviors. We may experience defiance or illogical behavior, or and then we tend to want to address that behavior. But if we don't get to the why of the behavior, that behavior will continue or escalate because the child is still not feeling understood. So I have a short little presentation I'd like to share with your audience about understanding different personality styles. And please do take some notes. And then I have a gift for you at the end of this presentation, if that's okay. So are you able to put me into presentation mode that I can show the slides? Let's see if I can.
Okay. Can you do it there?
Oh, you know what? I don't know whether, can I do a screen share or no? Will that let me do a screen share?
I'm not seeing the feature for screen share here.
Okay, image file, slides and PDFs. Let's see. I have no slides from my computer. Let's go this, upload. Let me see if I can get this. Oh, you know what?
Okay, please.
I can do it from my Google Slides because I do have a Google Slides. Let's see if we do this. We probably should have practiced that one, huh? Add slides.
Okay.
All right. Let me get in here and see if we can quick get this up. Continue. All right. Continue. All right. tying this in. All right. Let's see if we can go into this presentation. This is not.
I hope you will have your writing materials, everyone, because I'm already taking notes.
Okay.
I'm already taking notes.
That is great. Let me go into.
I have noted already that when you have a strong personality, naturally, you are likely going to tilt towards authoritarian parenting. I've noted that already. Yes. When you have a strong personality, you are likely going to naturally tilt towards authoritarian parenting. So you want to check your personality type.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I don't think I'm able to upload this file.
So
try one more time. Let me try one more time and see if I can get this.
Okay.
And if not, then we're going to have to kind of walk through it.
Okay.
All right.
I've also noted that the rod, when we say spare the rod of the sheep is to guide. They don't really hit. They don't really smack like that. You know, it's to guide, which simply means that if you consider the rod as a discipline, you should use it to guide. Yes. I read somewhere the other day that discipline is what you do before your child misbehaves and not after your child misbehaves.
Exactly.
Which means you should have a structure for guidance before even anything.
Yes, it's so true. And I say discipline is a discipline of self-discipline. It's teaching the child to be self-disciplined. And that's what discipline is the guidance. It's not punishment. It's discipline. Yes. So I do not seem to be able to screen share and show this. So I'm going to walk you through a couple of different things if that's okay with you. So when we look at different personality styles, we look at two different observations. The first observation is, what is your pace in life? In other words, how does your motor run? Some people are outgoing personalities, and they are fast-paced individuals. Walk fast, talk fast, eat fast, work fast. They always tend to be in a hurry. They tend to be more positive and optimistic, but they are a fast-paced individual. Those children are the ones I call the bouncers, okay? They go from one thing to the next. They don't sit and play. They're constantly moving. On the other hand, the other observation is there are personalities that are more reserved. And the reserved personalities or introverts, they just prefer a slower pace. They want to think about what they do before they do it. Think about what they say before they say it. They don't like to be rushed into doing things. It causes them a lot of stress and anxiety. And for our audience here today, listening today, I want to ask you a question. What is your pace in life? Do you like things going fast and you're outgoing and like talking to people all the time? Or do you prefer to just take your time and think things through and just prefer a slower pace? Pop that in the comments for us, just so we have a better idea of what your personality
is. What is your pace like?
What is for me? So my pace, and I think yours is too, is we're pretty outgoing, right? You know, we like to talk, we like to engage with people, but there are other personalities and a couple of my children who are more reserved and prefer a slower pace. Now you can see if I'm a fast-paced mom with a slow-paced child, do you see we have a gap of misunderstanding?
Why we have fast-paced, we have slow pace here. We have responses already. Coach Karen, we have responses.
So right?
Pace. Okay, slow pace. Igbo says slower pace. Jinadu said reserved. Right. So this says fast pace. Okay, let's go.
So you're starting to see that it's not right or wrong, but you can see it's different. So you understand that yourself. Then take a look at your child. Are they fast paced or are they more reserved? Now the second observation is what we call your priority in life. How you spend your time will pretty much determine your priority in life. Some people are what we call very task-driven. They're the left brain thinkers. They are results-driven. They go through life accomplishing tasks. We make lists and we check things off the list. If we've done something today that wasn't on the list, I'm going to write it on the list so I can check it off the list and feel like I got more done in a day, okay? We are task-driven. It's all about getting things done. On the other hand, we have personalities that are more people related. Now, people related individuals know that they have things to get done, but they'd rather spend time with people than doing the task. Okay. People oriented types are more open with sharing their feelings and emotions. If they're happy, you know it. If they're sad, you know it. If they're frustrated, because they communicate these things with you. It's not right or wrong, but it is different. So for our parents who are joining us today, I want to ask you, what is your priority in life? And you may be a little bit of both, depending upon the situation. But how many of you feel as though you are very task driven? Do you feel as though at the end of the day, everything is checked off my list? I had a good day. Put task in the comments for me. And those of you who feel as though, yeah, I got some work to do, but your friend calls and said, do you want to meet me for coffee? And you abandon everything and you are out the door going to get coffee. You are probably more relationship driven. Again, not right or wrong, but different. So what are some of the responses coming in? I am very task driven. So I have got lists everywhere. I've got things that I've got to do. I've got my calendar. I am very task driven. And sometimes I can get irritated when I have work to do and somebody wants to come in and talk to me. I am in the middle of something. Do not talk to me, right? Like your children, you're trying to get something done and you're like, I'm working. Now, because that's what drives me. Some of our children are task driven and they like to work on projects and do things, and other kids just want to spend time with their friends and play. Not right or wrong, but different. We still have
so we have responses. We have, okay, someone says, okay, I'm task driven. I'm both, but I like to balance things. My personality is reserved, people driven. Yes, we have
reserved and people driven. All right, so you're starting to put it together because we are a blend of those. So when we put those two observations together, and if I had the graphic, I'd show you a wheel. At the top of the graphic is the fast pace. At the bottom of the graphic is the reserved, and then we have task and people. But then we create 4 quadrants out of that. So let me go in and talk to you about the 4 different quadrants. So if you are outgoing, prefer a fast pace, and focus more on task and getting things done, is what we call the dominant style personality. They like to lead. They like to be in charge. They like
Sorry, please, can you take it slowly?
Yeah.
Slowly, so that if you are taking notes, we can take notes. The quadrant, okay. I'll draw my quadrant now, and I'll label it.
Yeah, so outgoing and task-driven is what we call the dominant personality. So I'm also going to give a few key traits about the dominant personality. They're very direct in their communication style. We don't sugarcoat it. We get to the point. We tell you what we need to do. We move on to the next thing. Sometimes people can be offended by that direct personality as that we're being mean. And why are they so harsh? Because it's our tone. We're also demanding and determined. You know, as a dominant mom, and even parenting a dominant child, when they want it right now. Right now. As a dominant mom, if I ask you to do something, I expect you're going to get up and do it right now. My kids ask me something, they want it right now. That's part of those traits. That's part of those traits. The internal emotional needs that drive that dominant personality, write these down because these are key. 3 internal emotional needs. The first one is challenge. If they are not being challenged, in other words, they're problem solvers, like fixing things. If they are not being challenged, they're going to become a challenge. If they don't have choices and control, choices within and a level of control, we will experience defiant behavior. So the 3 emotional needs of the dominant personality are challenge, choice, and control. If those needs are not being met, we will experience defiant behavior. And I am sure that there are parents on here who have experienced defiance from their children. And we tried to squash the defiance, but the defiance is coming from a need that's not being met. So like I said, if they're not being challenged, they'll become a challenge. And they want choices so they feel they have a level of control. And if not, they're going to take control through defiance. My oldest son had a lot of this in his personality. He was the anti-anything I said. He did the opposite every time. Every time. You know why? Because I told him what to do instead of giving him a choice of what he could do. Do you want to do your homework when you come home and then you're free for the rest of the night? Would you like an hour on your game system and do your homework after dinner? You choose, you decide.
A parent says, that is my son. So we are going to get her. She said, that is my son.
And they
said,
are, can I say,
doctor?
another D word is they can be difficult to parent. Okay. That's another D word is they can be difficult. That was my oldest son. And it was very difficult because my personality was to be more direct with telling them what to do. And he did the exact opposite because he didn't want to be told. He needed choices within my boundaries. So do you want peanut butter and jelly or do you want a ham sandwich? I just don't make something for him because he'll be like, I didn't want that. But if I give him a choice, do you want this or this? He chooses, everything's fine. But see, I wasn't parenting that way because I was more of a dominant parent who likes to be in charge and in control. And I was just telling my kids what to do. And that personality does not do well with that parenting style. I needed to learn to offer choices within my boundaries that either thing he chose was fine, but give him a choice instead of telling. So this is where you were saying about being intentional. I needed to be intentional with this because that's not natural for me and my personality. So I had to become intentional and think rather than tell him I need to give him a choice. You can go to bed anytime you want, but the lights go out in your room at 9:15, right? You can go anytime you want. The lights go out 9:15. So because when I said it's time to go to bed, he heard let's fight and we started a fight. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to fight at bedtime, but I'm like, it's time to go to bed. And then, those of you who are parenting those kids, it's a whole fight to get them to bed. And then
always.
And then I feel terrible that I just fought with my kid before they went to bed. Now I feel terrible as a parent. So challenge, choice, and control. They like the challenge. In other words, give them hard things to do. This is what I would tell Kyle. You probably can't do that. You probably can't finish all those math problems tonight. They're really hard math problems. You won't be able to get those done. You can do those math problems. I can't do those math problems. Yeah, I can get those problems done. Like, can you get them done in 30 minutes? He's like, I'll get them done in 20 minutes. The challenge. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I'll get them done in 20 minutes. Set the timer. Go for it, baby. Let's see what you got. Okay. So I had to change my approach to do what? Reduce the conflict, increase the productivity, and maintain the relationship where he felt understood. So that's just one of the outgoing personalities. Let me share with you the other outgoing personality that focuses more on people. So in other words, they're fast-paced, outgoing, but they focus more on people. This is what we call the inspiring style. They are fun, active, creative. They are interactive, impressive, involved, incredible imaginations, always thinking outside the box, always thinking outside the box. The needs of that inspiring personality, these are the kids that are the bouncers, okay? They're just energy, energy, energy. Their needs are recognition, approval, and popularity. For the inspiring child or inspiring personality, whether you're an adult or a child, who prefers a faster pace but focuses more on the people, then the task is inspiring. They like to be liked. They like to express their ideas and feelings. They love fun activities. If you're trying to get a chore done, you better make it fun or it's not going to get done. But like I said, recognition, approval, and popularity. Now, if you are not giving them recognition, if you are not giving them approval, you will experience illogical behavior because they will get the attention, even if it's in a negative way. Are you with me?
Yeah.
So when our kids are doing crazy stuff and we're trying to get them to stop, it's because they are not feeling that their needs are being met. Recognition, approval, and popularity. Right. So how do we do that? Recognition, acknowledging when they do things and do it well. Not only acknowledge and do it, but do it in front of other people to hear. Did you see that Sean got an A on his spelling test? Do you see that? Or if my kids were builders when they played, did you see that castle that he built with his Legos? It was amazing. It was so intricate and detailed. Recognition. Recognize. Now, this is what I find. We don't do that. We direct and correct. We are not taking the opportunity to affirm the positive things that our children do. Yeah.
Sorry, Karen. this particular personality, I can imagine they want approval, and if you give it in public, it's even a plus for them. Now imagine a parent now publicly embarrassing such a child.
Yeah.
You know that the need is, they need approval. That's the need. Public approval is a lot for them, means a lot to them. Now imagine the parent now using that public approval, like disapproving them in public. That would be a major heartbreak for them.
It is. It's not always easy. And I'll tell you, for me, I'm feeling like, why do I got to do all this? Because when I did, that child's needs were being met, and they didn't have to do the crazy things to get the attention, because I was recognizing the little things throughout the day. You could notice things, you know, you can say, I notice you have such a great sense of humor. You always make me laugh. I notice that you wake up in the morning, you're always so happy. I notice that you're a really good friend to your friends. Notice things. And I've got a gift for the parents before we sign off today that will give them a resource to be able to affirm the positive things with each of those personalities.
Thank you.
Yeah, so these are the fun-loving kids. Now, with the inspiring personality, I'm going to pause here for a moment. A lot of these kids can be labeled ADHD. And I'll tell you why. Remember, their pace in life is fast-paced. They focus more on people than task. So they're easily distracted. They do not have a long attention span. It doesn't necessarily mean they're ADHD, but it can mirror some of those traits. Are you with me on that? I don't ever want to say that it's not real. ADD and ADHD are real, but I believe that when you understand your child's personality, when those traits have not been pruned, disciplined, it will take on those characteristics. I believe, this is just my opinion, that there have been a lot more diagnoses to these neurodiversities because we are not understanding the personality traits first.
Yes. And I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you, because they have high energy. And when there's no structure and discipline, they can be bored, and then people cannot misconceive them. I agree with you completely. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's true. And so, I mean, I've worked with clients who have had their children tested for ADD and ADHD, but once we did the personality assessments and they read about how their child is wired and why they think and act the way they do, it was like, now I understand. Now I understand my child. There's nothing wrong with my child. They just may see life differently than I do. So I just wanted to kind of pause there, because I know that parents are struggling with parenting children that are wired differently than them. Yeah. And we want to be able to provide the tools of understanding so that we don't necessarily have to medicate the children if we can provide the discipline. In other words, teaching our children self-discipline. Yes. That you can't just speak out of turn, that you can't just walk up and leave the classroom whenever you want. You know, like, we have to teach them these things, teaching the self-discipline. Yeah. So the dominant and inspiring personalities are the fast-paced and outgoing personalities. Now let's talk about the more reserved personalities, because I know there were a number of people you said who felt that they were more reserved. More reserved are more of the introverts. So if we have a reserved personality that focuses more on people, and I think somebody who is listening did say that they're doing that, we call that the supportive personality. Now, the supportive personality prefers a steady and stable pace. Remember, they're a slower pace. They don't like when things go fast. They can get overwhelmed. It can cause them anxiety. Steady and stable. They find joy in serving other people and pleasing other people. They are the people pleasers. As a parent, you are very, it's all about family, tight-knit community. It's very important to you that everybody in the home is happy. You want to be able to provide that environment where everyone feels good about no conflict. There is no conflict for the supportive personality. Do not want to fight at all, ever, which can be a challenge when we have teenagers who want to fight all the time. Let me go back to the supportive personality. The three needs of that supportive personality, and jot this down, is appreciation. They need words of appreciation, security, knowing that they are safe with you physically, verbally, emotionally. They need that security, and affirmation. They need words of affirmation. This personality, unlike the others, tends to second guess everything. They tend to be a little more insecure. They tend to be more indecisive in making decisions because they don't want to make a wrong decision, because they don't want to disappoint or let anybody down. What did I say? They are people pleasers. So sometimes as a mom, if you're a high S personality, you just want to please your children and your family. But with that, sometimes we do everything for them and expect nothing in return. And that can be a challenge with raising kids who can feel entitled because we do everything for them.
Yeah.
Now, I know it brings us joy to be able to do that. That's part of your personality, but we're not raising responsible, independent kids when we're doing it for them all the time.
Yes.
We need to teach them to do their laundry. We need to teach them how to cook meals. We need to teach them these things. And I know it feels good to do it for them because we like to serve, but we're not teaching them the life skills they need to be resilient in the real world when we're doing it for them all the time. See, the supportive personality just likes to be accepted. They don't need to be the center of attention, but they do like having a close relationship. They like sticking with what works. Change is very difficult for them, and they do like a routine. They like a predictable routine because that's their safety and security to know what's coming. So if we have a routine that we wake up at a certain time in the morning, we have breakfast, this is the time we go to school. And even during the summer months, when the schedule is a little bit looser because we may not have school, they still need a routine or they don't know what's going on. Like, we need to structure it for them. This is what we're doing throughout the day. They need that predictability in the routine. Now, I want to round this out with the last personality style, and then I want to open to questions, because I'm sure people are going to have some questions about how we use this tool. The last personality style I'm going to talk to you about, again, is more reserved, but they focus more on task. These are the analytical thinkers. We call this style the cautious style. That's the C style or the cautious style. They are cautious. They are calculating. They're always thinking in their heads. They are competent. They know that they know what they know because they are the perfectionist, okay? They are careful individuals. They don't want to make a mistake. They are the perfectionist. The three needs of that cautious personality is quality answers. Now, I didn't say answers. I said quality answers. If it's not a good answer, they are going to ask you another question until they get the answers that they feel comfortable with. Quality answers, value and being valued. And
that's my daughter.
And excellence. They are the perfectionist. Everything has to be perfect and just so. They like to be right. They like to know what is expected of them. They like clear instructions, because if they don't have clear instructions, they don't know what to do and they don't want to do it wrong. So they won't do anything. Are you with me on that? And when they do nothing, that can look apathetic and lazy. And why aren't you doing your work? Well, they're not doing the work if they don't know that they can do it right. Are you with me on that? So I call that the paralysis of analysis, because they're in their heads. They're the thinkers. Now, they're not saying it. All we see is they're doing nothing. So when their needs of quality answers, value, and excellence are not being met, they will become cold and withdrawn. In other words, they pull back. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk at all. They can get very into themselves, if I can say that. They just pull back from everybody. Cold and withdrawn. Now, as an outgoing mom who wants to talk about everything, parenting this style was very difficult for me, because I could see in their body language that there was stuff going on in their world, but they're very private and very guarded, and it's very hard for them to let you in. That was very difficult for me to parent that, because you can see that our kids have got things going on. Maybe something happened at school, or something happened with a friend, or something happened with a boyfriend or girlfriend, and they don't want to tell you, and you just watch them kind of just deflate, right? So I needed to appreciate the fact that they needed space, but also let them know that I'm here for you if you want to talk. Because the more I tried to get them to talk, the more angry they got that I was trying to get them to talk. I don't know if anyone's experienced that, right? You see there's something going on. I want to be able to help you. Let me in, just even discuss with me what's going on. They're very private and very guarded. Very different than the inspiring style, who will tell you everything about everybody's everything because they just talk all day long, right? And so, so you can see the opposite. So as I'm going through these 4 personalities, people will start to see themselves in the quadrants and then start to see their different children. But I want to just be clear with this. Nobody is one thing. We are a blend of all of these to a greater or lesser degree. That's what makes us so unique. But through the parenting blueprint, we do the personality assessments, and we can put the assessments side by side and see where our differences are. Because there's nothing wrong with you and nothing wrong with your child. You just may see life through a different lens. And when you can see life through their lens, you're less offended by the behavior because you understand the why they see it that way. This is when we talk about how we can parent at the middle ground. We're not using switches when they don't do what we do, and we're not just letting them do whatever they want. We need to guide them to be the best they can be according to their design. And our parenting needs to adapt. So the 3 pillars we look at is become aware of the personality dynamics within your family. Yours, your child, your spouses, your co-parent, the other children, because it's crazy in one household, right? If you have more than one child, you know they're different. Then we have to learn to adapt our parenting to meet those emotional needs and apply the right strategies, because everyone will be different. Look, Kyle, who is my strong personality, if I was not firm and direct with him in my tone, he didn't think I meant it. But if I was direct with my daughter, who is the supportive, she would have thought I was mad at her. And she would probably cry. Are you mad at me? Did I do something wrong? Because they're more sensitive. So when I was with Kyle, I had to be direct. But when I was with Anna, I had to calm my body language. I had to lower my tone to be more friendly and conversational with her. Do you see the differences? Because I needed to be the one to adapt so that I could maintain a positive relationship with all of them. Now, we don't have to learn a lot. If you understand the 4 styles, you can do this. You can do this. It is a powerful tool of understanding. It is not a weapon of destruction. I don't want to say, well, this is who I am, that my kids need to measure up to meet my needs. That's not how it works. My goal as a mom is to raise my kids to be the best they can be according to how God designed them, so that I can help them be stronger in their strengths, help them feel good about who they are, but not feel bad that they're not what I think they should be. That crushes the soul of a child. That will crush the soul of a child. So I know I didn't have the slides to be able to show you to follow along. I hope this gave some insights, but I'm certainly open to some questions on what parents may be seeing in the dynamics of their family, so that maybe I can give you some strategies that can help you with that.
Thank you. Yes, without the slides, you have done so well. I have written how many pages? 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2. Page 2 now, I'm right here. I'm taking note. Thank you so very much. And I get it, and I can relate. So we have not a question really. I want to ask it as a question. Please bring your questions in already. Bring your questions in so that we can take your questions. This is not a question, but I want to ask it as a question. She said, someone says, Coach Violet said, my daughter, she would rather not do anything than do it wrong. She keeps things to herself. So how do you help? That should be a cautious child.
That is
from your mother, a cautious child. So how do you help such a child? Because at the end of the day, you still need to be able to, children, they go through a lot of things happen to them. And if they are not sharing with you, hey, how would you guide them? How would you influence them? How would they get closure? So how would you now get to that child?
So that is my lowest trait in my blends, right? Like that is probably the personality I have the most difficult time connecting with, because my personality style is dominant and inspiring. I am fast paced. I like getting things done. I like having fun, and they're quiet, reserved, and to themselves. So it's a polar opposite from me. So I can totally understand how you can see the gap. Like, how do I connect with that? The thing I needed to do is respect their need for privacy. Respect their need for privacy. Because the more I pushed to get them to talk to me, the angrier they got. And I called it lip lock. Like, he just locked up. He wasn't going to tell me anything. Let them know that you are there if they need anything or they want to talk. To this day, my son Kyle has a lot of this personality. When we get together with our family, and I told you, we got 7 kids and they're married and grandkids, it's a lot of us. He can only hang out for so long before he's had enough. It's overwhelming to him, all of that activity. So I'll find him in another room reading a book or on his tablet reading an article because he's just had too much. So I've had to learn to respect his need for privacy, but also let him know that I'm here for you if you have anything going on that I can talk, that if you want to talk about it. And he didn't talk for a while. I mean, he was very quiet, and I knew that when I tried to get him to talk, which was my need, I want you to meet my needs. I want to know what's going on in your life. It just made him angry. So stay close. Give them space and just let them know, especially when I saw things were going on. Seems like you've got some stuff going on. Is there anything I can do to support you? No, I'm fine. I just want you to know I'm here if you need anything. That's all I could do, because if not, I was going to make him more angry, which would do what? He would push away from me even more. So that was a great question. You nailed it. That is the cautious style. You nailed it.
Okay, so we have a question now. It says, how can I get my daughter to speak up? She's always very quiet. She thinks differently. I try to connect, but because I am dominant, and she always says she's fine when I know clearly. I think you just answered that. We want to throw more light on it. This is a question now.
Yeah. So
okay, she's a dominant personality type, and her daughter is a cautious personality type. And so she's asking, how can I get my daughter to speak up? She's always very quiet. She thinks differently. I try to connect because I am dominant, and she always says she's fine when I know clearly she's not. And then the daughter is also, I think, the age of puberty, when hormones are setting in and all of that. So it's a lot.
It is. It's
being
hard.
The cautious personality type, then puberty, and the mom now being the dominant one. How does she handle it? More light, please.
You nailed it. When we start getting into puberty and adolescence, they start pulling back anyway. We are not the center of their world anymore. Their peers are, okay? It's their friends are more important than family. And again, this is the time that becomes more difficult for us as parents, because we need to allow them that independence and autonomy to become independent from us. Sometimes I feel we fear the loss of the relationship as they're pushing away. Has anyone felt that? My kids loved and adored me and wanted to be with me, and I got kisses and hugs, and they wanted to spend time with me. Now all of a sudden their eyes are rolling and the doors are slamming and they won't talk to me at all. They're very guarded. So all I can say is this is the time to give her space. When she knows that you're not pushing yourself on her, she knows you're there. She knows that you love her. But if you become critical, and I did, why don't you talk to me? I did that. It made him feel as if there was something wrong with him, that he didn't want to talk to me, right? So I just had to say, I love you. It looks like you've got some things going on. Is everything okay? They'll say it's fine because they don't want to let us in because they're private and guarded. But just give them space and say, I just want you to know I love you. And if you need me, you can talk to me anytime. Just let me know how I can support you. It is. So this is where, as a dominant, outgoing, and we want that relationship, and they're very quiet and shy and guarded. It's a polar opposite. So it can be difficult. That's what we do at the Parenting Blueprint, is to try and close that gap of understanding, to give our children what they need, and not, look, I made it all about me. I wanted them to meet my needs. but that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. When I meet their needs, they will meet my needs by default. It's just how it happens. If I give them that space. Great question. These are great questions because this is the relationships where we see things differently.
Yeah.
And better understand that. Yeah. Any other questions?
Thank you. No, I I was following you and you talking about dominant personality. I just kind of imagine when you talked about your tone, because you're a dominant personality, you may always want to talk in a way that seems your voice is raised. And your children and people around you will think, oh, you are yelling. And you are the one telling them, don't yell. And they think you are actually yelling, especially when maybe you are desperate to pass a point across. Okay, I got one also. Yeah. You talked about the supportive parents, that if you are a supportive parent, naturally, like I'm just summarizing, there's every likelihood for you to raise irresponsible children. So how does a parent who is naturally a supportive parent, who is a people pleaser, and who avoid conflict, yes, I wrote down that, how do they now cope with their dominant child as a supportive parent to avoid conflict? And you are a people pleaser, so you are likely going to want to like almost give control to your dominant child. Yes. How do we handle that?
Yes, great question, because a lot of the families I work with have that dynamic, and the mom's heart is breaking because they have a dominant child that is telling them what they need to do, right? And it's like, wait a minute, I'm the mom. So the one key that I will say to the supportive parents is you need to, number one, and I know you're on the same page with me, what are your values? What do you want from your children? Okay. What are the things that are most important to you? Honesty, integrity, courage, some of the Judeo-Christian values that are important to us. That's where we got to stay in our relationship with our kids. Now, if our kids are getting almost bullying us, because it will feel like they're bullying us, we need to set boundaries and we need to follow through on a discipline if those boundaries are violated. For instance, if they have a digital device, and in our home at a certain time, all the digital devices got plugged into the office, which was probably an hour before bedtime so their brains can decompress and they can sleep well. If they were late on putting that digital device on there on that time, they would have to turn it in 30 minutes earlier the next day. So we have a boundary and a consequence. Now, these are things that we've already discussed with our kids. Everybody has a phone. Like we'd have a meeting. Everybody has a phone. At the end of the day, it needs to be plugged in. Everybody okay with the time? Everybody plug in at 9 o'clock. Are we good with that? Yeah. Then I'd say, and if you don't plug in your phone by 9 o'clock, what do you think the consequence should be? Do you see how we're having a conversation of communication and collaborating on what the consequence will be? So they already know in advance, if I'm going to push it and then think I'm going to try and sneak it in at 9:15, I'm going to lose 30 minutes the next day. And the next day, if it's not on there, then they know 30 minutes. So it's a community, but you've got to follow through. As parents find it so hard to be like, all right, next time will be better. No, they will do it over and over and over again. If you give them an inch, they will take the yard. You cannot with the dominant child. You have got to stay firm. They are going to be angry. They are going to say mean things to you. That's when you end up giving in, but you can't give in, or they will continue that cycle of bullying you. It'll feel like they're bullying you to get their way. So the hardest thing for the supportive parents is to set your boundaries of what you expect, already have clarified what the consequence will be, and then follow through on the consequence. If they are misbehaving, and I've done this to my son, I was thinking about this not just over the weekend. He lost a couple of birthday parties because of his behavior. I was not going to honor and have a big birthday party with all of his friends because he was being disrespectful. Now, We still had a family party. I made him a special meal. He got a couple of gifts, but we weren't doing a big thing because I said to him, if you continue this, you will not have a birthday party. He continued it, and we did not have a birthday party. I was not happy that I had to do that, but I had to follow through on what I said I was going to do. Say what you mean what you say. And he was angry. He was angry, but I needed to do what? I needed to discipline the behavior. I will allow XYZ when you XYZ. I will allow us to host a birthday party when you have done all your chores for the month. I mean, I had to with him because if not, he didn't think I was serious. He didn't think I was serious. We're getting some good questions in here. I'm able to finally pull up these questions. Yes. Set your boundaries on what you expect. Thanks, Angela. Yes, absolutely. So someone else in here, now that I got these up here, my daughter likes praise affirmation a lot. If I'm praising the brother for doing something, she'll quickly say, "Mommy, you didn't praise me, and I'm not doing well too." That's when you start to realize that you do need to balance what those needs are. If she likes a lot of praise and affirmation, it's like you've got to tell them all the time, because if not, they'll start doing illogical things to get the attention.
Attention, yeah.
Negative way. Now, look, my dominant personality is seriously, do I need to stroke you for every flip little thing you do? Okay, I'm showing my personality. Do I really need to do that? Yes, because that's what they needed. That's what they needed. Okay. So in the private chat, I put a link. I can't copy that link and put it in the comments. So I don't know. I mean, if you're able to go into the private chat button over on the side and take my link and put it into the chat, it's not allowing me to do it, but it might allow you to do it. And in that is a link to 20 affirming word statements based on personality. It's a PDF document that will be emailed to you. And for those, do you see it?
I'll put the link in the WhatsApp group, the waiting room. I'll put the link in the comments. After the video, I'll put the link in the comments. So you are going to get the link.
Comments. Yeah, I'm not able to do that. But this way, sometimes it was difficult for me to think of the positive things to say, especially if they're irritating me. I'm not feeling it right now. But it will give you 20 different statements to affirm them based on their personality. When we speak that breath of life into them about what we love or what we notice that they do and they do well, it will build their confidence and self-esteem. When kids have a stronger self-esteem and they have confidence in themselves, they're not wandering and trying to figure out who they should be because they already know who they are as a person, who they are in the family, who they are in their community, because they're confident that they're special.
And one of the reasons kids go astray is because they don't know who they are.
Yep.
They don't know who they are. Nope. They don't have a solid self-identity. That is why they actually go astray a lot.
Yes.
That's why they misbehave.
Yeah. This is one of the first tools that I use in my private coaching practice is these affirmation statements so that parents can start affirming our kids because they will look and compare themselves to other kids, whether in the family or their peers. And so, like, for instance, my daughter, who was a supportive personality in middle school, wanted to be more like the dominant, inspiring girls. They were the popular girls. They had the fun table at lunch. Yes. She wanted to be like them until she got there and realized they were mean girls. She didn't like the mean girls, but so they're still trying to find out who they are. So I just needed to affirm her with those statements that she was kind and she was compassionate and she was empathetic and she was loyal and she was a good friend. I needed to breathe that into her, that you are perfect just the way you are. You don't need to be like them. Yeah. You just need to be the best you can be. But it comes from home. We need to instill that in our kids because if we don't, they're going to look for it somewhere else and it may not be the healthiest place to find it. We all know social media and our kids comparing themselves in social media can be very disruptive to them. Yes.
Thank you so much, Karen. I know we said 1 hour is almost, we have just 4 minutes to go, but we have a question here. And I also have a question I want to ask. And I also would like you to tell us more about, because Coach Karen has an amazing product and she has an amazing community. And I would like all of us to follow her on Facebook and learn more about her. If you are a parent and you actually want to take parent coaching further, you want to like explore parent coaching, Coach Karen she will guide you. She will guide you. She will guide you. So you are going to please follow her. I'm going to copy her Facebook link and put in the page. The gift she has for us, I'm going to put it in the WhatsApp group. I'm going to tag her in my next post on Facebook. So please just follow her, and whatever you learned here, share it on Facebook and tag her and tell her thank you, because I have learned a lot. So I have a question, and we also have a question here. So let me ask my question quickly before I forgot. When you said something about, for example, the tone of your voice when you're talking to your dominant child, you have to sound in a certain way so that he takes you seriously the first time. So when you're talking to your supportive child, you just kind of bring it down so that because she's sensitive. Yes. Now I'm wondering if you don't have a uniform approach to, I know that children, because of their different personalities, they require different ways to discipline them, which you explained in your tone of voice. So I'm wondering, if you don't have a uniform approach to discipline, would some children feel, maybe the child who has to like get it a bit tougher, would the child feel that, okay, mom is being biased, mom favors my sibling, she favors my sibling, what about me? Why do you always have to be a bit tougher with me? Would the child feel like that? So how do you balance it?
That is so true. And it has happened in my house. Okay. You like this one more than you like me. The thing is, when you are individually meeting their needs and they feel understood by you because you are being intentional, which is our word, right? We need to be intentional about how we guide them. They are all getting their needs met. And then hopefully they're feeling as though, but she gets me in a different way. Now, Kyle knew that I was very direct and firm with him, but Eric, my second son, was very relational. He was inspiring and supportive. So he was not very organized, but a heck of a lot of fun to hang out with. He made me laugh all the time, to the point where sometimes it was hard to discipline because he'd make me laugh so hard. But I just had to still be direct with each one of them according to their design. Now, because Kyle would see me laughing and joking with Eric because that's who he is, his perception was that I loved Eric more than him. And I said, I don't love Eric more than you. These are the things that we enjoy. But I also needed to be able to spend that kind of quality time with Kyle doing the things that he liked. So we were still feeling his needs were met in a different way. Now, in the home, you're right. You may get that. But then I'd also say, well, do you really want to do what I do with Eric? No. So, well, then I'm going to do what you want to do with you. And then I'll be with Eric in the way that's connected with him, or with Anna. So it's really just that communication and collaboration. When we develop a parenting blueprint, we recommend doing the personality assessments for everybody in the family so they can see their unique differences, that it's not right or wrong, but it's different. That's the most important thing. My way isn't the right, my personality isn't the right personality. It's just my personality, so it's not right or wrong. It's just different. It's just different. Yes.
And thank you.
So let me affirm them based on their personality need. Yes. If you are sharing words of affirmation and it's not truly to the core of their being, like, if I were to tell Kyle that he's so sweet, he'd look at me and he'd be like, no, I'm not, because he's not sweet. Anna is sweet. The S personality is sweet. Kyle is direct and driven. I could say to Kyle, I noticed that when you put your mind to do something, you're going to accomplish it. If I were to say that, Anna would be like, I don't even know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, you do have to find the right words that speaks to their heart so they feel as like, she gets me. He gets me.
Yes.
My mom gets me. My dad gets me. They understand me. That's why the power of that document is so specific. So, yes.
Okay, so let me ask the question. Speaks to their hearts. Sorry, I'm taking notes. Then I'll ask the question now. Someone said, okay, my question is, how can I control a child that lacks self-control, especially in terms of food? he eats food from his classmates and schoolmates, even when he's giving his food and snacks. Please, I need help.
Yes. Well, the first thing is to find out, why is he eating the snacks? Does he have better snacks than you have? His snacks. Like, why is he taking the snacks? Some kids like to share, and that's how they connect with other students. So if it's not a problem, it just needs to be mutual. If it is a problem, then we need to find out, why is he wanting to, she says, I always give him food and snacks, but he eats everybody else's. It's not unusual for kids to trade their snacks for other snacks, but as long as the other students are okay with it. And if they're not okay with it, if a student says to your son, to your child, that they're not sharing their snacks, he needs to respect that his snacks are his snacks and their snacks are theirs. But it's not unusual for kids to swap snacks at the lunch table. I see it all the time. But if someone doesn't want to and he wants it, he needs to respect their no is no. And that's what we need to talk to him about. Talk to your child. I know sometimes we're at the lunch table, you may switch out some snacks, but if somebody says that they want their snack and you can't have it, you need to respect that. I hope that helps. It's
Thank you.
Communication. It really is communicating and collaborating and finding out the why. This is something that I've learned, is that I need to learn to ask questions, the why, and not just assume I know why they're doing it.
Yes.
I need to ask them what, so how is that working out for you? Why do you think you made that choice? So I can understand where they're coming from. If I don't know, or I just tell them what they should do, and I'm not being considerate of hearing them. I hear this from even adults when I ask them, what would you have preferred grown-ups do when you were growing up? And 90% of the time, this is what they tell me. I wish they listened to me. I wish they listened to me, because we should
listen to our children more.
We're real good at talking, but are we hearing what they're saying? And behavior is communication. They are speaking through their behavior what they need. I hope that helps.
Thank you so much. Communication. Are you writing? Are you taking notes? Please, if you have, do we still have a minute or two so that we can take another question? Okay, someone said, okay, thank you for putting it together. Thank you so much, ma'am. Someone said personality is not wrong or right. It's just different. Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Coach Karen. Thank you so much. You see, in the Visionary Parent Academy, 2 months ago, we had a full course on understanding your child. Understanding your child, because we know that when you understand your child, there is a lot of difference that it will do in your parenting.
Yes.
There's a lot of difference between your parents. Now you are saying, oh, we can see from all she has said, I have summarized it, that it's not just, oh, the Western world is for their children. There are basic things you need to understand, foundational knowledge you need to understand. If you don't understand your child, whether you're in the US, you're in the UK, you're in Canada, you are in Nigeria, you're in Kenya, you are in Zimbabwe, if you do not understand your child, you are not going to get it right. She said one thing. She said the inspiring child, that is the child who likes the child who enjoys people, the highly paced child, and at the same time, the people's child. She said something that they will always, there's a term she used, they'll be logical. They'll be logical. That is their way of trying to express themselves, yes. Which simply means that if their needs are not met, their needs for approval, their needs for recognition, and their needs for popularity, if these needs are not met, they are going to be irrational, illogical in their behaviors. So it is why they are likely going to make wrong choices. Yep. So it's not because, oh, they don't beat or they beat. It's simply because their needs are not being met. Yep. So if their needs are not being met, they are going to make irrational behavior. Can we not say that may push them to experimenting with drugs and all of that, Coach Karen?
Well, you nailed it right there. And that is really the cornerstone of parenting by design, is understanding what the needs are. And when the needs are not being met, you will see the disruptive. So either it's defiance or illogical. And for the supportive personality, they just become a sucker. They just get sucked into things they shouldn't be doing because they just want to be accepted, right? And then we have the cautious personality, it becomes cold and withdrawn. And so when you see the behavior, we tend to want to discipline that surface behavior, but the discipline's not, you got to meet the need. Meet the need, change the need. Meet the need.
You must meet the need. Did you get that? Thank you. You must meet the need. There is a triggering factor. There is something responsible for the child's misbehavior. You must dig to the roots and meet the need.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Look, our kids just want to be understood. Our kids just want to be understood. We are the most important relationships in their world. And if we don't understand them, they will have low self-esteem. It starts at home and it starts with us.
Thank you. I was going to ask, you have something that we can use to understand our children, because you have mentioned the needs, and I'm just looking at it. Yes, if these needs are not met, for example, the dominant child, if their needs are not met, your home can become chaotic. There will be power struggle all the time. Power struggle, chaotic home. And if the parent is not intentional, the parent will not know where to stop. They wouldn't even know, you are stubborn, the child is stubborn, every time you are clashing. This can actually make the child make rebellious decisions. Then talk about the inspiring child, the same thing. Talk about the cautious child, the same thing. Talk about the supportive child, the same thing. So is there something that we can use to help understand our children? Do you have a course or anything?
I do. So the Parenting Blueprint is a self-paced course that it includes personality assessments. So you have one for you and one for your child so you can truly see it. And then the course will take you into strengths, struggles, and strategies of parenting different personality styles. So you end up discovering for yourself what is really going on in the family. See, I wasn't introduced to this until Kyle was probably 10. So I was well into struggling with parenting him. I really was. I was feeling as a failure. I felt as though I hid behind the shame and the guilt that I was in such conflict with him all the time. And let me tell you why. Because I believe that we have been sold this lie that when we have children, we will know what to do.
Yeah.
We don't know what to do. All we know is what our parents did before us. And when you have a child who is not conforming to that way, we have a challenge. Now I'm feeling bad about myself that I'm failing my kids. I'm hiding behind guilt and shame because I didn't understand my child. Now, when I heard this information, and I was at a full seminar for this in a business setting, mind you, this wasn't parenting. All I'm thinking about is, how come no one talks to parents about personality styles? Like, this cleared up everything. Like, now I get it. He's not doing it to be a jerk. He's doing it because he's trying to get his needs met. Then I felt bad because I didn't understand him. Now I understand. So if I know more, I can do more. If I know better, I can do better. This is a tool of understanding that completely will clear the fog. Then now you see specifically what's going on. So the course is always wonderful to be able to take that. It's a self-paced course. If you wanted to get into coaching, we do that. We have a number of coaches who work in different lanes, whether you're working with neurodiversities or you're working with neuroscience or ADHD or trauma. We have trained coaches that can specialize using this framework based on whatever you've got going on. And if you want to become a coach and use this, I am training coaches as well. As you had said, I'm training coaches to use this framework in their practice as a foundation for parents to understand their personalities, become aware of those dynamics, adapt their interactions, and apply the right strategies to parent by design. It's an incredible framework.
Thank you. Your parenting coach, do you give certificates? Do you certify?
Yep, there's
certificate. I don't know.
There's
Fantastic.
certifications, yeah. And then you have a license to the course that you use with your clients. We teach you how to use the course, and then you teach your parents how to use this material as well. That's exactly what we do. It's a business in a box. We teach you how to do everything we do.
Thank you. So if you have ever reached out to me and asked how you can get certified to be a parent coach, please, I said, after now, I am going to tag Coach Karen in my next post. Please follow her and ask all the questions. She is very welcoming. She will not sleep over your message. Send her a message, a DM right now, and she will respond to you immediately, except it's night. She will respond to you. She will give you her email address. Coach Karen is amazing, and she will help you. She will literally hold you by your hand. So please, if you ever asked, oh, how can you be a parent coach? How can you know more about? Because what she's talking about is basically temperament. If you followed me, you know that it's temperament. She's talking about. I use the temperament term. She used. Okay, so what you want to do is, if you've ever asked, oh, I'm still confused. I've had people say, I read this book. Please just follow Coach Karen. I tell you, she is. I don't need to describe her more. You followed her now. You've been here. You can already tell that she has something. Thank you so much, Coach Karen. I appreciate you. The Visionary Parents Academy, we appreciate you. We say we can't pay you for this. Thank you so much.
No, I'm happy and honored to have been able to be a part of this. You are doing an amazing job providing such value to your listeners. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you. So everyone, our next session is 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. So we are taking a break for like 43 minutes, and we'll come back for our next session where we are going to be talking about how to raise children in this morally bankrupt era. We see a lot of things going on social media and everywhere. We want to know what parents who have been there before, practically what they did and how we can raise them. Raise our children too. Like I said, I have my writing materials here. If you don't have yours, please go and get yours. I had to get an exercise book so that I can take a lot. I didn't want to use my small notepad. I have to get an exercise book because it's 10 speakers. So we are going to write a lot. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Coach Karen. If you have not shared, if you've not told someone something is happening here, please go and tell someone. Do someone a favor and tell someone something is happening here. Thank you so much, Coach Karen. I will expect the gift you have for us, then I'll share it with them. Thank you. And when you get the gift, please tell her thank you. Say thank you, Coach Karen, and tag her. Send her a friend request or follow her. Then say thank you, Coach Karen, for the gift, and tag her. Then tag the Visionary Parents Academy. Tag the Winning Parenting Battles Conference 2025. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Coach Karen.
You're
appreciate
welcome.
you.
Thank
God
you.
bless you.
Thank you for all you do.
Bye, everyone.
Take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Any final word for us? Okay. Bye time.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. All right.